Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer. You may remember recently I featured Lee Lawson's grandfather, who was a Punch and Judy man, in a video on the channel, and I thought it would be interesting to share my entertainment past with you. Some of you know that I was an entertainer before I started to do my YouTube channel, but perhaps some of you don't. And I thought, as we were into touring theatres and Punch and Judy and all that sort of stuff, it might be fun to go through some of the pictures that I've got from a more modern era. So I trained in mime in the mid-90s when Chernobyl was a thing, if you remember that far back. I went to the Desmond Jones School of Mime, and learning mime as a physical theatre was very useful and has always been useful to me. And I got into the entertainment business. I was always doing a bit of theatre, amateur theatre and what have you in my young 20s and teens before that, really. But yeah, I did a bit of mime and got onto the corporate entertaining and family fun days and gala days and all of that sort of circuit, and doing the old white face stuff, which held me in good stead. I used to earn a little bit of a living from that. And one of the crazy things that I was asked to do was to do a bit of modelling. Now, I'm not a model, you know, look at me, I'm hardly a model, but I was asked by a company for a trade magazine to advertise a floor cleaner, and they wanted somebody who could look like they were running but be in a completely still position. So for a photo shoot, I had to turn up at it was, I don't know where it was, somewhere in London, but it was in a church, an old church that was this photographer's studio. It was fantastic, and I adopted this pose, and he gave me the Polaroid, which came out rather jolly. I never saw the final thing, but the entertainment business is just full of doing all sorts of bits and bobs, which when I was watching or talking to Lee, and she was telling me about her grandfather, how he was selling flags and magazines on the beach, you do as an entertainer all sorts of different types of stuff, and it's a great grounding. One of the stock in trades things that I would do was corporate events, and these are usually evening functions, a round table, corporate dinners for companies, perhaps sometimes awards that the company has had, or treats at Christmas, that sort of thing. And I would go out with a whole load of different props, because I learnt to juggle and unicycle and fire eat and stilt walk and a cigar box manipulation, which is what I'm doing in this picture. You can see I look incredibly young and highly concentrating in that one. I mentioned stilt walking. That was another job. An agent would ring me up and say, Richard, we need a stilt walker. And again, be out there at either an exhibition or a welcoming people to an event, very often on stilts. Now, there were two types of stilts. There were these Dura stilts, which were the modern ones, or the old-fashioned hop-picking stilts that the hop pickers used to use when they would pick hops in the hop gardens in Kent, made of wood. And I made up my own pair, taught myself how to do it, and there I am with giant hands and stripy trousers, entertaining and causing chaos and mayhem wherever I went. Outdoor events, Christmas shows, crazy costumes, silly characters. That was very much the nature of my routine. So here am I in a silly astronaut outfit, actually based on a TV program I'll come to a bit later on at some event in, I think, in Wokingham or such place in Surrey, but doing crazy stuff. Stilts costume develops. Shopping centres was a place that I used to get a lot of bookings for. They were always trying to entice people into the shopping centres or amuse the children at half term or during the summer holidays. And of course, I would laconically try and entertain and do the best I can, indoor shopping centres and outdoors. This one, I'm juggling razor-sharp knives. They really were razor-sharp. Oh, I can assure you, over a poor victim that I had pulled out, which was great fun. Another thing that the mime had taught me was robotics, being a human robot, and great fun. My costume wasn't particularly brilliant, I have to say. It was an old motorbike jacket, some leather trousers, but it was the ability to move robotically and create the illusion. And I used to have this little whistle thing that would make the noise of the motors supposedly in the arms, and all this sort of nonsense, which was great fun. I don't know where that is in that particular picture. And just all-round fun entertainment, causing mayhem and chaos with kids. You needed to be a good communicator to do this. Here I'm juggling on a walking globe, they call it. So this is a great big ball, and took a bit of skill to learn how to do that and then juggle. And I could juggle 5 balls on my walking globe as a piece de resistance. I was never a brilliant juggler by any means, but I managed to get 5 balls in the air and balance on a big ball, which was good fun. One of the most favourite things that I used to do, and I would do again if I hadn't lost my eye. Some people perhaps don't know that I, unfortunately, in about 2005, I think it was, 2006, I got an eye infection, and it meant that my eyes were pretty hideous to look at, and I had to stop performing, which was a bit of a shame. But I never really wanted to do this style of performing all the time. It was a great stopgap, but I'm really pleased I did it. But one of the things that I used to love to do was comedy characters, and my favourite one were the spoof waiters. Now in this I often worked alone, but here in some of the publicity shots you can see I was working with a young lady called Mary Claire, and we teamed up. We weren't emotionally involved or anything like that. She was a fellow performer. We teamed up, and occasionally we would turn up at corporate events at very posh dinners as pretend waiters. Great stuff. But as the evening would go out, our characters would start to get a little bit more crazy and a little bit more silly. I absolutely loved it because the posher the event, the more subtle and small things that you had to do, which started to be noticed by fewer, just a few people, and then slowly everybody thought, hang on a minute, he can't be genuine. And we had all these publicity photos done to sell the idea, but it was very, very, very popular. I liked working with Mary Claire, but I also liked doing it on my own, because on your own you could generally work out some form of rapport with the audience, although they didn't know you were spoof. I mean, I would do things like at champagne receptions, people would be there having their glasses, all, Lord and Lady so-and-so and some corporate tycoon all hobnobbing together, and they would fill up, the waiters would come round with the champagne and fill up the glasses of champagne. I would fill them up right to the very brim, these fluted glasses. So people were going, oh, golly, no, that's enough. And I would fill it right up to... They would take a sip, and the moment they bring their glass down like this, I'd be back there on a shot, topping it up. And they go, no, it's all right. They would just think of me as a very eager one. Sometimes, though, they would catch me in a doorway, just half in, half out, looking as if I shouldn't have been observed, swigging out of a bottle. I'll have to do a separate video about the comedy waiters and the things that we got up to, because it was an absolute hoot. In this one, we did all sorts of different things. Redcoats, pretending to be Butlins redcoats and organising people at corporate events. Overgrown school kids was another one that we used to do. Sometimes they just, wanted crazy things going on, and I came up with all sorts of things. The overgrown school kids was costumes I had left over from a TV pilot I had made with my friend Nigel, but we had the costumes over, and I thought, well, we must be able to do something at the corporate events. And again, I worked with Nigel, but also with Mary Claire on many of the events all over the country. Sometimes we went up to Pontefract, I think it was, which was a fair old journey to do them. Comedy genies. These were, now, please don't take offence, but these were camp genies that we had. Oh, hello. They were very much in the Kenneth Williams sort of, oh, your wish is my command. And people would come in to at an evening function all dressed up in their stuff, and there we would be as comedy genies out there welcoming them in. Oh, hello, master. Hello, mistress. Very nice to see you. Oh, no, do go in. Please don't rub the lamp today. We would just make up all sorts of rubbish. But it was great fun, and it just broke the ice, really, at parties. And it was lovely. I used to do that. A good one to do was with my mate Nige was running around in prisoner costumes, you know, with the arrows and what have you, looking like we've escaped. Great for street theatre, that sort of thing. We'd have a ball on and chain and just be running round the town, and people would kind of go, oh. And it's funny how it's obviously a send-up of a prisoner, but a prisoner is, of course, you know, somebody who's been convicted for something, and you're taking the mickey out of it by running. But they were very much on your side. Quick, hide! Don't let the policeman see you. We just used to have all sorts of fun, and we were paid. It was back in the good old days. Around 94, 95, I came up with an idea for a children's television program because I was into my filming. I've been filming all the time, and although the entertainment made my living, it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to work on film, and what I'm doing now with the YouTube channel is very much where I want to be. But it was a long way to get there. YouTube hadn't even been thought of. And I came up with a children's television idea, because I did like children's television, called Snug and Cozy. Now, some people will remember it, some people will vaguely have heard it, or they'll just be aware that I did it, but they don't know what it was. And it came to pass, and we were two lovable aliens who had escaped from a planet and were going on holiday, and we hit an asteroid and crash land on Earth, and so decided to have the holiday on Earth. And we spoke in this stupid gobbledygook, which was an alien language. Cozy, you schlibbin schlim schlabbert, what you never get it do dubber, what you do condom fuffer, a do condom fuffer, you why. It was basically Laurel and Hardy in spacesuits. It was a 10-minute comedy little thing that went out in 96 and 97. We had 2 seasons of these 10-minute knockabout comedy with stupid stuff. There is some episodes on YouTube. I'll link in the description if I remember. But unfortunately, we only managed to get 2 series out of that. There was a political shenanigans going on with the TV company that we were working, no fault of ours, and a number of programmes got axed, or should I say, not recommissioned. And ours, sadly, was one of a batch, and we were going up in the ratings. And in theory, we should have had the 3rd series, which would have made us a bit more of a household name. But, you know, life is a bit like that. So it never really happened. And thereafter, I tried to put together some more TV programmes and what have you. But when you're not on the telly, nobody wants to know you. You're yesterday's news. And YouTube was coming in, and I thought, you know what? That's where I want to be. Anyway, so my early 20s, late 20s, 30s was involved in a career not too dissimilar to Lee Lawson's grandfather, with his Punch and Judy and his touring in revues and pantomimes. Snug and Cozy did actually have a pantomime. We appeared in Doncaster in Cinderella. Yes, work that one out. How did they get 2 aliens into Cinderella? Anyway, we did it, and it was quite successful. But that's my little excursion into the world of entertainment. Of course, now I entertain and I busk, as it were, on the internet. And if you enjoy my stuff, I do ask people to make a donation or to become a patron and support what I do as I look at landscape, heritage and nature in my quest for England. But there we are. That's my heritage. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you out and about on another one. Until then, take care, and thanks again. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.